Most men will spend their entire lives working 40 hours a week, and they will still die with less than $20,000 in their name. They'll blame the economy, they'll blame their boss, and they'll blame their bad luck. But let's be brutal. As a man, whether you're 20 or 40, you need money. It isn't just about the cars or the watches, it's about freedom. It's about the ability to protect your family, to provide for those you love, and to have a say in how your life is lived. Without it, you are a passenger in your own life. If you're still struggling to keep your head above water, it isn't because you aren't working hard. It's because you're likely falling into one of 10 specific traps that keep men in a cycle of financial slavery. Today, we're going to look at the data, the psychology, and the brutal reality of why you're still broke, and exactly how to fix it. Before we dive in, let's define the concept of being broke. It's not just having a zero balance. You can earn $100,000 a year and still be broke. Being broke means having zero leverage. It means if you stop working today, your life falls apart in 30 days. It means you have no financial velocity, your money isn't moving toward your future, it's only moving toward your past debts. Let's address the elephant in the room. If you weren't born into wealth, you are already starting on the back foot. You don't have the family office, the trust fund, or the pre-established connections. This, by the way, isn't an excuse. It's a war briefing. Because you don't have that leverage, you cannot afford the luxury of figuring it out as you go. You have to be more calculated, more obsessed, and more disciplined than the guy who started at the finish line. Now let's get right into the factors. Whether you're currently working a salary job, running a small business, or still studying, if you're broke, it all boils down to these 10 factors. Figure out which ones apply to you and fix it. Factor 1. Lack of financial education. This is most likely your first problem. You weren't taught how money actually works. Schools teach you how to be a good employee, not how to make, save, and grow money. Research shows that only 14% of men under 35 can pass a basic financial literacy test. Most men treat money like water. They just hope there's enough in the bucket to last a month. If you don't understand simple concepts like the 50-30-20 rule or compound interest, you are playing a game where you don't know the rules. And that explains why you're broke. You need to become your own chief financial officer. In the game of finance, ignorance is not an excuse. If you don't learn this early, you'll pay a stupidity tax for the rest of your life. Factor 2. Getting into relationships too early. This is a hard pill to swallow. Getting into a serious relationship or marriage before you are financially stable is one of the fastest ways to stay broke. In 2026, the estimated cost of raising a single child to age 18 has climbed to between $350,000 and $450,000. That's nearly $500,000 per kid, and that doesn't even include college. If you start a family before you have stable money or a clear plan to earn more, you aren't just starting a life, you are trapping yourself in a cycle of struggle. It's like trying to run a marathon with a heavy weight tied to your ankle before you've even learned how to sprint. When you're on a low income, every dollar you earn is already gone before you touch it. Adding the massive financial responsibility of a relationship or children means you no longer have the extra money or time required to invest in yourself or a business. Building wealth usually requires taking a calculated risk, like quitting a dead-end job to start a business or spending money on a high-level certification. If you have a family or a partner depending on your tiny paycheck, you can't afford to take those risks. You are forced to stay in a safe but broke position forever. You essentially set a limit on how far you can go. Instead of focusing on becoming a high earner, you end up spending all your mental energy just trying to figure out how to pay for diapers and rent this month. You've anchored yourself to a low-level life before you ever gave yourself the chance to reach your full potential. Factor 3. Carrying too many external responsibilities. Are you the ATM for your friends and family? Look, being a provider is part of being a man, but there is a massive difference between supporting your family and carrying people who refuse to walk. Many men carry the weight of everyone else's financial failures. Do not confuse loyalty with subsidizing failure. If you're constantly loaning money to a brother who won't keep a job, or paying the bills for a friend who spends his own money on sneakers and video games, you aren't helping them, you are enabling them. Every time you bail someone out of a situation they created, You take away their reason to grow. Meanwhile, you are draining the very capital you need to build your own future. This is the crab in a bucket syndrome. If you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, when one crab tries to climb out of the bucket to escape, the other crabs don't cheer it on. Instead, they reach up and pull it back down so it stays in the bucket with them. It's a psychological phenomenon that happens in many social circles. Every time you start to climb out, someone reaches up and pulls you back down to help them. They could use tools like guilt tripping. You've changed since you started making money. The emergency friend. The person who only calls when they need a $50 loan they never intend to repay. The lazy relative or family member who refuses to work because they know you'll pay their rent. There is a reason flight attendants tell you to put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. If you run out of air, you can't help anyone. If you don't build your own financial foundation first, you are just one family emergency away from being broke yourself. You need to be able to swim before you can pull a drowning person to safety. If you try to save everyone while you are still struggling, the weight will eventually pull both of you to the bottom. Factor 4. Spending your money on liabilities. This is the most common reason men stay broke. Rich people buy assets. Broke people buy liabilities. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket, like that $700 per month car payment for a truck you don't need. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. Most men think they're doing well because they have a high-limit credit card and a new car in the driveway. But let's look at the brutal 2026 math. The average millennial man is carrying nearly $7,000 in credit card debt with a massive 22% interest rate. That isn't living the life, that's a financial leak that's draining your future before you even earn it. Think of every dollar you have as a soldier. When you buy a liability, you are sending your soldiers to die on a hill that doesn't belong to you. You are paying for the privilege of watching your money disappear. But when you buy an asset like a dividend-paying stock, a rental property, or a business, you are hiring those soldiers to go out and bring back more soldiers. Stop being a consumer and start being a collector. Collect things that pay you. If it doesn't have the potential to grow in value or put cash in your pocket, it's an eater. And as a man on a mission, you can't afford to keep pets that only know how to eat. Factor 5. Giving into social pressure. You are currently living through the most aggressive marketing era in human history. By the end of 2026, social media sales will hit $2.9 trillion. This isn't an accident. These platforms are designed to make you feel like your life is boring, so you'll buy something to fix it. We see it every day. You scroll past a guy your age standing in front of a private jet, and suddenly your reliable car feels like a piece of junk. This is conspicuous consumption, buying things you don't need to impress people who don't care. Research shows that 70% of you are making buying choices based on what you see on your feed. But here is the brutal secret. Most of what you see is a lie. Even the financial gurus you follow are often promoting high-risk products without telling you the truth. They are getting paid to make you the customer. And more so, you are competing with people who might have generations of wealth behind them, or more likely people who are living a completely fake, debt-fueled life. When you try to match their lifestyle, you aren't just denting your wallet, you're destroying your future. Stop playing a game you've already lost. Factor 6. Not learning a valuable skill. If you're in your 20s and you don't have a specialized skill that the market is willing to pay for, you are in danger. If your job can be taught to a teenager in a weekend, you are in a dangerous position. In the 2026 economy, working hard is the bare minimum. It doesn't make you rich. Wealth comes from being hard to replace. Look at Joe, for example. Joe is a good worker. He shows up on time and does what he's told. But Joe is a generalist. If he quits, there are 100 people in line to take his $18 an hour job. Now look at Max. Max spent his evenings for 6 months learning digital performance marketing. He understands how to use algorithms to drive sales. Because Max brings in more revenue than he costs, his company pays him $85,000 a year and begs him not to leave. You don't need a 4-year degree to get out of the broke trap. You need a specialization. Whether it's cybersecurity, where you protect a company's data for $110,000 a year, or AI solutions, where you earn 6 figures just for knowing how to communicate with machines. Stop being a helper and start being an expert. Find a skill where the demand is high and the supply of people who can do it is low. That is the only way to move from a survival wage to a lifestyle income. If you're confused on which high-income skill to learn, be open to information, find out what others are doing, attend career summits and business workshops. Factor 7. Lack of strategic relationships. There is an old saying, your network is your net worth. But in 2026, it's more than that. Your network is your information filter. If you're hanging out with 4 broke guys, you are going to be the 5th. Not because they are bad people, but because they can't show you a door they haven't walked through themselves. Think about Joe. Joe's friends are consumers. They find financial conversations boring and would rather gist about the latest celebrity gossip or sports scores. When Joe hangs out with them, he's just killing time. Max, on the other hand, is intentional. He looks for people who have the values, skills, and access he doesn't have yet. Max knows that a single conversation with someone 5 steps ahead of him can save him 5 years of trial and error. He isn't looking for hangout buddies. He's looking for leverage. He understands that relationships are a two-way street. He brings his own skills to the table to help them, and in return, they open doors for him that he didn't even know existed. Stop hanging out with people who make you feel comfortable being average. Start finding the people who make you feel uncomfortable because they are doing so much more. You don't need 1,000 friends. You need 3 strategic allies. One who is where you want to be, one who is on the journey with you, and one who you are pulling up behind you. Factor 8. The university trap. For decades, we were told that a degree was the only way to be successful. But in 2026, that advice has become a financial cage for millions of men. You are spending the most energetic years of your life learning outdated courses that the real world doesn't care about. Let's look at the brutal math. 40% of you will graduate and take a job that doesn't even require that expensive piece of paper on your wall. You're essentially paying $80,000 for a 4-year social club, while the blue-collar guys and the tech cert guys are out earning you by $448,000 over their first decade. Look at Joe. Joe is $45,000 in debt for a degree he doesn't use, and he's stuck in a job he hates because he feels he has to use his education. Max didn't fall for it. He saw that the market wanted specialized skills, not general theories. He spent 6 months learning a high-income craft and started earning while Joe was still sitting in a lecture hall. If you're in university right now, ask yourself, is the market actually asking for what I'm learning? If the answer is no, you are just accumulating debt to buy a resume that no one is reading. Don't be afraid to pivot. It is better to waste 2 years of school than to waste your entire financial future. Factor 9. Lack of ambition. This is the most uncomfortable one to hear. You aren't ambitious enough. We like to think we want to be rich, but most men just want to be comfortable. They want the big house and the nice car, but they don't want the obsession required to get them. You can tell a man is lacking ambition when he gives only the bare minimum at work. He isn't looking for ways to solve problems, he's just looking for the exit sign at the end of the day. Look at how you spend your mental energy. Do you find conversations about money, investing, and career growth boring? If you'd rather gist about celebrity drama, the latest sports trade, or what happened on a reality TV show, you are paying a distraction tax. You're making everyone else rich with your attention while your own bank account stays empty. If you want to change your financial life, you need to have a quality level of intentionality. You have to change what you care about. Stop being a spectator in other people's lives and start being the MVP of your own. Factor 10. You've stopped trying. This is the silent killer of dreams. At some point, you got tired of the struggle and you subconsciously accepted your current level. You've stopped looking for ways to increase your value and started relying on a miracle to change your life. You see it every day. Men who can't afford healthy food are spending their last few dollars on sports betting or the lottery, hoping for a big hit that will wash away all their problems. They are waiting for a divine helper or a lucky break to come out of nowhere and rescue them. But here is the brutal reality. The world isn't coming to save you. No one is going to knock on your door and hand you a check for $1 million. The odds of winning the Powerball are 1 in 292 million. The odds of you becoming wealthy if you master a high-income skill and invest wisely are almost 100%. Don't waste your life waiting for lucky days. Luck is a ghost. If you chase it, you'll never catch it. But if you build a fortress of skills, discipline, and assets, luck will eventually find its way to you. If this video gave you the wake-up call you needed, hit that like button so other men can see this. Subscribe to The Masculine Guide to join a community of men who are done making excuses and ready to build a life of purpose. Tell me in the comments, which of these 10 factors is holding you back the most? Let's get to work.